NickIsNotGreen has finally given this real actual apology, which we'll look at here in a second, after spending months losing subscribers, being attacked by his own fans on his social medias such as Reddit and Twitter and Instagram, even though he's shut down his Twitter since then. We will read this apology, but first a 30,000 foot recap. And I do have a video, I think it's popping up here, that explains the whole situation in more depth because it's pretty long and complicated, but I'll do my best here to try and summarize the entire thing so that you know why we're here. This person named Lex Updog put out this video that says my experience with Don DRRR and SuperMega, in which she alleges that she was sexually assaulted by a coworker named Don while she worked for this channel, SuperMega. So she and Don were both employees of SuperMega who worked for these people, Matt and Brian, and she was sexually assaulted by a fellow employee, a coworker. NickIsNotGreen, this guy, then put out a large series of videos about the entire situation, which he has since privated, called things like SuperMega is full of horrible people, responding to SuperMega, so on and so forth. And basically this entire situation was him blowing it up without doing any kind of research or fact checking, and it started a very large hate brigade against SuperMega, and was basically a huge hit piece that brought down their channels, their reputation, and so on. Now, the owners of SuperMega, these two people put out responses, as you can see, called My Response Matt and My Response Ryan, talking about the situation and basically refuting almost everything that NickIsNotGreen had said, but notably not refuting the things that Lex Updog had said. They also, in their response, called out NickIsNotGreen for blowing up this story with no evidence or research or doing any kind of fact check to make sure the stuff that Lex Updog had said and the stuff that he then blasted out to his huge audience of almost 800,000 at the time was actually true. NickIsNotGreen, however, doubled and tripled down, putting out 2, maybe as many as 3 more videos on the situation, claiming that he was correct and SuperMega was still full of horrible, negligent people, and basically taking no accountability for the stuff he actually ended up getting wrong. And not only did he do that, but he started lashing out on Instagram as well, posting stories where he calls everyone that's standing up for SuperMega defending rapists and being rapist sympathizers. He lashes out on his Twitter against people as well who are expressing similar opinions, and basically anyone at all that disagrees with him with either legitimate or illegitimate criticism, he calls out, saying that they're a horrible, like, Reddit-dwelling incel in their parents' basement, which is actual language he used. It was pretty insane. He was just lashing out at anything that moved against him, no matter what. This, however, kind of started to backfire because his fan base was not really happy about the fact that the person that they liked was lashing out and attacking all these people, when it really was starting to look like maybe he had been wrong about the entire situation. NickIsNotGreen, for his part, was basically just trying to carry on as if nothing had happened at all. As you can see, he's continuing to release videos normally, as if he's not being called out from essentially every corner of the internet that is aware of his existence. And this is the point where his subscribers start really unsubscribing en masse because he's refusing to take any kind of accountability, and you can see that here. That is this timeline right here, where these first, it's like 22 or 23,000 people are unsubscribing, and then as the story starts to die off, you can see the amount of people unsubscribing slowly fades. So essentially he's refusing to apologize or talk about it, and is just trying to move on in hopes that people will just kind of forget, except that's not really happening, specifically because other YouTubers are starting to take notice of this story and are putting out videos about it. As you can see here, if you type in NickIsNotGreen, his channel Green is Not Nick is not the first result. It's all of these people criticizing NickIsNotGreen. There's some latest, but basically everything about this is people going after NickIsNotGreen for all the things that he had done and said. Nobody is really letting this go. He's a very popular target for comedy, commentary, drama channels, kind of like this one. And that whole saga leads us to today, when he put out this apology. I'm gonna read it, and I'm also gonna give some good faith critiques on it. Hi everyone, there's been a lot of people still asking me where I stand with the SuperMega situation after I deleted my initial statement. I followed that video up at the intro of a video from 3 weeks ago, but a lot of people didn't see it, and I wanted to further clarify how I feel after taking some time to reflect on it. Here it's worth noting, I'm not sure which video he was talking about. It could have been one of the many that he deleted, but I watched, not that one, but I watched the intro of all of his recent videos trying to figure out what he was talking about, and I did not see any mention of that. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. He could have cut it out. It could have been from a video he ended up deleting, but for that initial statement that he says he made, I actually couldn't find anything. But if you happen to find something, just let me know in the comments. I'll happily pin any corrections. I initially responded with anger when concerns were raised about my coverage of the story because I believed that these criticisms were coming in bad faith from audiences of creators that have harassed me in the past. After reading messages from people in my community who have legitimate and valid concerns on my stance on the situation, I now realize there was a lot of real criticisms about the videos I made that are sincere and point out where I seriously mishandled my coverage and reaction to the story. My responses minimized and discredited a lot of my viewers' concerns, and I was immature with how I reacted. While this is probably technically true, I don't think this was a case of him not knowing so much as him being entirely willfully ignorant, because the people that were calling him out initially were probably people that harassed him, but pretty quickly it became people in his own communities, comment sections, probably his Discord, in his own Reddit post, calling out his coverage of the situation, saying that he needed to update what he had said because he had covered it wrong. But he was just choosing to believe these were all haters, I guess, but the call was coming from inside the house, so I think there's not really an excuse for that. Given the seriousness of these topics, I should have taken more time and much more care with the titles, the content, and even the way I edited the videos. I regretted the eagerness I had to insult Matt and Ryan in the story in ways that were unnecessary and careless, and for including details about them that were unrelated to Lex's assault. Regardless of whether or not these details were talked about in Lex's video, I should have been much more careful about the way I presented them, and I'm sorry for that. Good paragraph, no notes. I was trying to help a friend, but I was stubborn and emotional instead of taking the proper time to hear how I could have done better from people who were rightfully concerned. I wrongfully gave more value to the opinions of those who agreed with me over those who were holding me accountable for valid reasons, and that is something I deeply regret. I should have supported the victim without getting directly involved, but instead, by choosing to cover a sensitive story that involved people that I was close to, the outcome of my actions hurt all the parties involved. Again, another good paragraph, no notes. I regret the way I approached reporting on such a serious topic, and I apologize to any victims of sexual assault I've disappointed. I also want to apologize to those who support me and watch my content for how this has been handled. This experience has opened my eyes to what my priorities are as a content creator, and I'm dedicated to thinking more deeply about how I use my platform and the way I communicate to my audience. I have a lot of growth that needs to be done as a major part of being a content creator. Lastly, I want to apologize for how this has affected those who are not involved in the situation but have associated with me and made content with me. Think of people like Ethan is Online, Jarvis Johnson, Drew Gooden, so on and so forth. I feel awful that my actions have caused people to stop supporting people who have absolutely nothing to do with the situation solely because they are my friends or loved ones. Please don't let how I handle this situation reflect those who are in my personal life. Now, overall, this is a good apology, but it would have been an even better apology if it hadn't been born out of the fear that his career is collapsing. See, the timing of this is interesting because 7 days ago is when he posted this apology after this had been blowing up for months, and that's pretty suspect because 11 days ago, Jimmy Robbins put out this huge video, an hour long, called Nick Is Not Green, is a wolf in sheep's clothing by Jimmy Robbins. It has almost 600,000 views, and as you can see, it was put out 11 days ago, so 4 days before his final sincere apology came along. And as you can see, when he posted this, that same day, November 26th, Nick Is Not Green's subscriber growth started to plummet again. It had kind of leveled off. He was still losing subscribers, but people weren't unsubscribing en masse like they were initially. But this second wave of subscriber loss comes entirely from this Jimmy Robbins video reigniting the conversation about how Nick Is Not Green handled the situation. And just a couple days after that happens and his career starts to collapse all over again, just like it did initially, he issues a heartfelt apology. And that seems kind of suspect to me. Now, I don't claim to know Nick Is Not Green's inner thoughts, but what I do claim to know is the order in which he has expressed those thoughts when being criticized. When everyone was on his side, he was more than happy to cash in on the millions and millions of views he was getting by attacking and criticizing the people in SuperMega. But then when suddenly no one's on his side, he's issuing a heartfelt apology about how much he messed up and how sorry he is and about how he plans to use his platform for better, more productive things in the future. And I think you can probably understand why that's problematic. I think this highlights the size of his ego and self-righteousness, that instead of fathoming that he could have been wrong about a situation, he chose to believe that everyone around him was wrong and attacking him solely for the purpose of trolling him online and trying to slander him. I'm talking how I am because I don't take joy in watching someone's career fall apart. Sure, you could say he deserved it, and honestly, it's really hard to make a reasonable argument against that. But my grandpa dying of lung cancer because he refused to stop smoking does not make me happy because the consequences of his actions caught up to him. It still sucks to watch. This entire saga has destroyed Lex's credibility, destroyed SuperMega basically as a company, destroyed Matt and Ryan's online reputation, negatively impacted the careers of all the employees of SuperMega as a company, damaged Ethan and Online's internet presence, who's a friend of NickIsNotGreen, and now taken down NickIsNotGreen's career. And worst of all, nothing ever happened to Don DRRR, the guy who originally assaulted Lex. So honestly, this whole situation doesn't seem like it has any winners. Every single person here has lost. And frankly, that kind of sucks. Thanks for watching.